Okay, in this video what we're going to be doing is kind of shifting off the emulator and going on to using a real world processor. So this is where we're going to make a new program in RS Studio, RS Studio 5000. And what we want to do is actually show the use of how to add modules and how to go about that. So we're going to select new project, and in this new project we're going to select our actual version that or the controller that we're using, which is an L73. We're going to name this Udemy Live Rack. So we'll just name that, and then we'll come in, and this will be a version 30. Our processor is in slot 0. So in this rack it's in slot 0. We can verify that by looking at our links right now. This is the current setup that I have, is slot 0, and then this is the IO that we will be adding. And I'll go ahead and show you that as well. So again, let's go back to making the file. This is version 30. It is a 7-slot chassis. So we'll have that, and it's in slot 0. So we're going to click finish. Now it's making the processor. And this is again, this is going to be part of actually getting a live program up. So we'll be getting to actually doing programming in the very next module. So I know you guys are probably itching to do that, but getting the fundamentals of this stuff is really critical. So there's a couple things we can do. We know what we have in our rack, right? We know what we have in our RS Logics, our RS Links. Is we can go ahead and add all the stuff individually. Meaning we can come in here and add it individually. But the easiest thing we can do is to help us out is to actually go in and auto find this stuff. So I'll show you real quick. You can come in here and you can add a new module if you wanted to. The discovery, the module discovery does not work at this point because you're not online with it. So you would have to do filter. Excuse me. So you'd have to come in here and show filter. And what you can do is you can select, like if you had a digital input, you can select the digital inputs and then find exactly which model you have. And again, we can come down here and say, we have, what model we have. Like this is a digital input. So in slot 3, we have an IB 1756 IB16, which is just the category, the catalog number for the input device. So we can actually go and add that in there if we wanted to. So it was a 1764 IB. So there's one way you can do that, right? You can just select it that way, and I think that's right here. And you hit create, and you select. So in this, you can make the version. You can select the slot. If we were in slot 3. You can name it, DC module or whatever you want to name it. You can connections. Quickly, to go over it, you have the connections, which is the RPI. How fast? So the RPI is requested packs for intervals. How fast do you want to talk to this module in the backplane? It's really up to you as how fast you want to do that. Generally speaking, I leave it at default at 20. I don't really mess with that because you're not going to, unless you're doing like real world IO, which is very rare, you don't need to do that. So as far as configuration, what is your default? Like, transitioning and stuff like that. So then you have your points, off, on, You can change these if you want to. We're gonna actually close this out. I'm not gonna actually put it in there manually because I want to show you the easier way to do this. So real quick, the easier way to do this after we make the file is we'll actually go on and go to Who Active and go to our processor. So we'll scroll down our processor and add the we'll download it. So as soon as we download it, it's going to pop up download like we've been doing on our emulator. We're going to download to the controller. And again, your firmware has to be the same. So I already knew my firmware was good, right? So I made this a version 30 processor, right? Because I can easily come in here in RSLinks and right click the processor and hit device properties and see exactly what it is. It is a version 30 processor. So always remember, RSLinks can be very helpful to finding out what you have. Like in this instance, we can find out, what our Sercos module is, and it's in version 30 as well. So we can just come in here, right click, and find out what versions things are, what they are, the EDS files. But anyway, so now we're online, right? So now we want to go back to down here in the I/O configuration and the 1756 backplane, and we want to click Discover Modules. Okay, so now it's going to populate everything it can discover. It's not going to be able to find motion things, so don't be surprised if you cannot add that. You will manually have to add that, and I will actually do that and show you how to do that as well. So don't worry about that. We'll go ahead and add the stuff that we can add. So first and foremost, we'll add our Ethernet, which is our 1756 ENBT. This is our Ethernet module. So this again is our Ethernet, so I'm just going to name it Ethernet. It automatically has the correct version that you have, so you don't have to come in here and change anything. The only thing that you can change that would be helpful, like for things in the future, is changing the electronic keying from compatibility. You can do exact match. I recommend staying with compatibility. If you do have a problem like with the firmware of the device you're putting in, you can put disable keying and it will still work. Compatible module means it's compatible with the version of software you're using. So I always use compatible. I do not use rack optimization, so I leave these as none. But that's something that you can check and stuff like that if you wanted to. The connection, come down here and you look at just the basic setup. It's already going to populate that because it already has it in there. So, and then you hit OK. When you hit OK, it's going to say danger, online module creation. Creating an online module could affect the running of the system. Obviously, we're not running a system, so it's fine. So we've added that. Now let's open up that. Let's open up that now that we've added it, and it will show you exactly what we have set up. So now that it's live, it has it's the internal state is its running mode. The internal configuration, if you've already set up your Ethernet card, it will automatically have the physical address, and it will automatically have the subnet and gateway. Again, that can be set up, and that could be a whole training series in itself. So this is again just about how to add the modules. So we want to go ahead and discover more modules and add everything in our IO tree. And apparently I'm waiting on the software, so please Just give me just a second, because this always tends to happen when you're recording. And I can always shut this down too, and will shut it down if I need to. But in the meantime, I'll stop the recording so it doesn't waste too much of your time, and I'll pick it back up when this picks back up. Okay, so what I end up having to do was stopping the process of adding the module, and basically just start it back. I shut down Studio. Sometimes you have that bug happen, but it's not very often. So we'll go back to discover our modules, and as it discovers the modules, we'll pick up our next module, hit create. This is a DC input module, so we'll say DC input module, and I like to name it just as accordingly. Again, go down to connections, check that. It really depends on what you want, and just add that. Now we'll go to our next one, create that. This is an electronic output, so this is a DC output. And then we'll put fused, so we know exactly what it is. Again, you normally don't have to mess with this right off the bat. Just go ahead and add it, and then you can come back and change this stuff as you need it, and then come back and create the rest of them. This is the analog input. So the analog input module, and then we'll hit OK. I'm not going to go through scaling that, because obviously we can do that any given time from here. So we'll add this next module, and this is the it's a DC output. And this is an isolated output, so we can put isolated behind it just so we know exactly what it is, and hit OK, add it. Now the one that we didn't get to add is this 1756 M16 SE, which is our motion. So what we want to do is come up here and hit new. We'll get to show filters. We'll come down, uncheck this box, and we'll go to motion, right? And being that we're online right now, we can't add anything, so let's just save what we currently have. And motion often has stuff like that where you have to actually go offline, so don't actually worry if you have to. So come back here to add new. Then you want to come out and uncheck the box over here. You just want a motion, so at that point we want to come down here and add our it was the 1756 M16 SE. If you do forget what it was, you come down here and add it down here. You can see, or not add it, but you can see what it was down here. So it was a 1756 M16 SE 16-axis motion card. So at that point, we want to come out here and add that one, and we'll call this Sercos card. Sorry, Sercos COM card, and it is in slot 1, so we'll add that. The next thing we need to come in here is the rate, the data rate. I always keep it at auto detect. Then we basically want to make sure our version is right, and it is. It has to be version 30, because if your processor is a version 30, your Seracos network needs to be version 30, or your Seracos communication needs to be version 30. And the same thing would apply if you're 20 or 19 or whatever. If you're running 19, it needs to be, the Seracos needs to be 19. If you're running 20, the Seracos, this card needs to be 20 as well. So now we're going to go ahead and download, being that we've added it. And if there was anything we've done wrong, it's going to come up and this card is not going to work. It's going to come up with a little triangle on it and see exactly what's wrong with it. So we'll go ahead, and it comes up, and it does have a triangle on it, but let's see what it says. It says it's trying to, it says that in this case, it says the connection request error. No synchronized master is detected. So what that means is we have to, in a motion system, is we have to come up here to this controller property up here on the upper left hand corner. And I teach this in my servo class, my servo course, but I wanted to verify, I wanted to show you this so that you knew, if you are running motion, you need to go to date and time, and you need to go to time synchronization, or time synchronize, and hit enable time synchronization, and hit apply. As soon as you hit apply, then this should actually go away as soon as it knows. So we'll see. Let's see if it took. Looks like it took. So we'll come down here, open this back up. It has no assigned motion groups, and that right now it has no motion group. So we don't have a motion group attached to this. What we can do just to settle this problem is we can add, you can add a motion group, but you have to be offline. So notice that troubleshooting these cards, this is the reason why I kind of wanted to do this. Troubleshooting these cards right here will actually be down here in this bottom corner. So if you have any problem down here, you can actually see the connection error, and generally speaking, it will tell you why you have a connection error. We're not going to go adding, some motion in here right now. I mean, we can. I'll tell you what. Let's just go ahead and do it so that you can see this cleared up. You can't do it while you're online, so let's go offline, and we'll add a motion group. We'll just call it, for the sake of this, motion group. And let's add that, and let's come down here, and under connections, actually right here, yeah, it should be fine. Let's see. So now let's see what we got. Let's download this and see what we have. As far as this is very, very good, helpful information. And so I'm glad that this, chose to add this. And when you do the Discover module, the Discover module automatically comes up with the correct versions and stuff like that. So this is the reason they don't do this with Seracos, is because they do not have the ability to auto detect if you have a motion group signed or not. So this says there's no axis or motion group. So we still have to add a motion group in here. And we also would have to connect our Seracos ring to this as well. So with that said, I can actually show you this live a different day or a different time, because I don't want to draw these videos out anymore. But this does show you how to troubleshoot that. So we do have a motion group, and again, if you've go through, if you happen to go through this course and you're interested in doing motion, I have a full servo motion mastery course, which is a basic course, and then the advanced servo motion mastery course. So you can go through those as well if you're interested in those. I just wanted to show you that. But the main focus right here was adding your modules in here. And in the meantime, we're not going to be adding this. What we can do is we can come up here to connections and hit inhibit. And we can apply that. And then that way our IO up here stops blinking, because we're not going to be working with motion in this course, because it's a real diverse environment. I mean, it's over 28 hours of video that I have for both of those courses. So, but either way, this shows you how to set up your IO and how to get that started. So this actually shows the processor, the Ethernet card, the DC input, the DC output that's fused, the analog input, and the DC output that's isolated. So now we know how to add modules, and we know how to add them manually too, like up here, like what we did. So just make sure you use, if you're doing that manually, make sure you use RS links to kind of, or either pull the card itself from the chassis and get the exact number from it. That's also helpful. So we'll hit save. And now we have that saved. We're going to close this one out because we're not going to use, well, we will use this in some instances, so let's leave it open. But now we're going to continue to the next module and start actually programming. Okay, so again, thank you, and thank you for your patience going through this, and I'm glad you get to see the, little error right here, so we can learn how to fix that. And let me show you this too while we're here. I don't want to waste too much time. Let's change this. Let's change this to I don't think it will do it with a minor error. Yeah, it won't do it with a minor error. But if we were to come in here and disable keying, it wouldn't care. I would kind of like to set these up so they error it out, but I don't think I'm able to do that with a minor error. I can actually go offline and do it. Go offline, and let's pick this DC card. Let's change it, and let's change the major revision to 3. And let's put this at exact match so that when we download, this will fail. And I'll show you that as well. That way you know how to troubleshoot. You know how to troubleshoot a card if you actually added it wrong. So this is very helpful as far as like troubleshooting I/O and stuff when you're adding it, and so that goes to that. So this actually shows you exactly what's wrong. So if I hovered over this, and it would show me the electronic keying mismatching, major or minor revision, invalid or incorrect. Well, how would I fix that if I could not go offline? Just go right here, click disable keying, come right here, and everything will be fine. Now, I tend to use compatible keying because it keeps it compatible with what we're doing. So I would do compatible keying as well. Compatible keying often will work. In this case, it did not, but you see what to do to fix it. So, or you can just come right back offline, come right here and go to change, put the revision back down to 2, and then hit apply and download again, and this will be successfully done. So just know that was, I wanted to show you a different instance of troubleshooting before we ended this module, so that you got a little bit more benefit on adding I/O and stuff of that nature. So again, so now we're coming back and we're healthy. Everything's good. There is no triangles, caution symbols, and everything's healthy. You can come down here and check to make sure that all of them say running down here, and then we're good. Okay, so we'll end this video, and hopefully that taught you how to set up some I/O, and we'll carry on to troubleshoot, or not troubleshooting, but the programming section. Thank you.